Here's a question I want you to sit with. If a man hands you power peacefully, does that make him different from every dictator who came before him? Or does it just mean he was patient enough to wait his turn? In 1982, Cameroon's president resigned voluntarily and handed power to his quiet, loyal prime minister. No coup, no bloodshed, no drama. That prime minister was Paul Biya. 44 years later, he is still president, the oldest head of state on earth. A man so old that most Cameroonians alive today have never known another leader. And right now, as at the point of recording this video, he is not even in his own country. He is in Switzerland, reportedly gravely ill. His family reportedly summoned to his bedside. His government insisting publicly that everything is fine. So, which is it? Is Paul Biya a stabilizing force who saved his country from chaos? Or is he the chaos just dressed in a suit for 4 decades? That is what we are getting into today.
History has not forgotten that Buya was the capital of southern Cameroon.
Paul Biya was born in 1933 in the south of Cameroon, not as a soldier, not a revolutionary either, but a bureaucrat. He rises through the civil service under President Amadou Ahidjo, methodical, unremarkable, easy to trust. By 1968, he is Secretary General of the Presidency. By 1975, he was the Prime Minister. And this is the thing about Paul Biya that people misses. He was never the loud man in the room. He was the man everyone forgot to watch. That's not weakness. That is strategy. In November 1982, Ahidjo does something almost unheard of in African politics at that time. He resigns, and under the constitution, power passes to his prime minister, automatically, peacefully. No tanks in the street, no emergency broadcast, just a quiet handover from one man to his deputy. For a continent that had already seen coup after coup after coup, this looked like something new, something hopeful. People believed Cameroon had just avoided its own tragedy. They had no idea they were about to get a longer one. 2 years later, 1984, Biya's honeymoon ends violently. A coup attempt. Loyalist forces from the old Ahidjo faction tried to remove him by force. He survives it, but surviving it changes him. In the aftermath, Biya doesn't just punish the plotters. He systematically eliminates his major rivals. Anyone with the standing, loyalty, or the ambition to ever try that again. Now, this is worth remembering because everything that follows, the elections, the crackdowns, the decades, traces back to a young president who learned violently in year 2 that power in Cameroon was never going to be given back voluntarily twice. He wasn't going to be Ahidjo. By the early 1990s, the Cold War is ending. Western donors are pushing African leaders towards multi-party democracy. Cameroonians are protesting in the streets, demanding the same. Biya gives in. Multi-party elections arrive in 1992. He wins with 40% of the votes in a fractured field. Immediately, observers allege fraud. He wins again in 1997, then 2004, then 2011, then 2018. Then again in October 2025 at 92 years old with just over 53% of the vote. Every single time, allegations of irregularities. Every single time, an opposition insisting the real result was stolen. Here's the pattern. Biya didn't refuse democracy. That would have been too obvious, too easy to condemn. He simply built a democracy that could never actually remove him. And this is where the story turns from complicated to damning. Because a democracy on paper, running for 44 years under one man isn't really a democracy. It is a performance. His party has ruled continuously since before some of you watching this were born. Genuine opposition has been squeezed, harassed, sidelined, election after election, decade after decade. And in 2025, when a former ally, Issa Chiro Mabaki, ran against him and claimed the real victory, protesters who agreed with him were met with force. Several were killed. Now, fast forward to this year. Earlier in 2026, the National Assembly, at Biya's own request, approved a constitutional change, reviving the vice presidential post, a post that had been deliberately scrapped since 1972, specifically so no one could ever be seen as next in line. Suddenly, at 93, he wants a successor written into law. But the question is, why now? Because in June 2026, Biya left for Switzerland and never came back. His government insists he is simply resting, but reports described his own son and senior state officials who never normally travel with him being urgently summoned to his side. A man who spent 4 decades making sure no one could inherit his power may finally be forced to decide who does. So, who is Paul Biya really? On one side, the man who accepted a peaceful transition in 1982 when Africa was drowning in coups. The man who, on paper, opened his country to multi-party politics when the world demanded it. On the other side, a man who turned every democratic mechanism he permitted into a tool for staying exactly where he was, who let his country hold 5, 6, 7 elections and never once seriously risk losing. That is not simply dictatorship. Dictatorship is loud. This was quiet, patient, administrative. Paul Biya didn't seize Cameroon. He just never gave it back. And now, as his health becomes the question no one in his government is allowed to answer honestly, Cameroon faces one thing Biya spent 44 years avoiding: a transition he doesn't get to control. So, I will leave you with this. If a leader keeps the form of democracy, elections, a constitution, a parliament, but never actually lets it function, is that still a dictatorship? Or is it something worse because it convinces a country to call it freedom? Drop your take in the comments. I genuinely want to know. If you are new here, subscribe. We do exactly this kind of breakdown every week. African politics, African history, no sugarcoating. So, see you in the next one.